Hola.
What is Hazard doing down there?
C'est-moi, Ginny. And then this. So I'm really tall and Hazard's really short. And do you guys want to say something to me? Because like I told my chat that you guys would say something.
Thanks for raiding, Ginny. Whoa.
Oh, no.
Good job. Thank you.
Bonjour. Yeah.
I got, what the fuck you mean bonjour? It's past 6 p.m.
Je suis un petit man. I like how the name has covered my face. Let me just come back into focus really quick.
What the fuck is this? Hazard's real high.
I love that it's not even the chair that goes up. It's actually the desk moving down.
Oh, you just had to flex as you got a standing desk?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I did.
Wow.
So, that's the only interesting thing that's happened with me this week, so I'll see you all next episode. Goodbye.
Bye. Have a good time.
Ginny's had something really exciting this week. Congrats on the LEC debut.
Yeah, I got adopted by Carmine Corps. I'm like an honorary Carmine Corps player. So if you know I spoke to BDS, you know, as well. They were like, "We'll put you in as the AD carry." I got a new career. Let's go. Nah, but it was actually really fun working on the LEC. I was shitting myself.
Didn't look like it.
Shitting myself, bro. I had that. No, I know it didn't look like it, but like honestly, like I was really anxious because it's the fucking LEC, bro. And it's had a really big impact on my socials, at least. At the moment, it's been going kind of. So shit's kind of wild, but yeah, I enjoy it. I love it. Players are really fun. I got a little trolled, but you know, you live and you learn. It was cool. I was also cool there to be there when Casey actually won because like the crowd was like, hype. They were crazy. Banger. Honestly,
it looked pretty nuts.
Slaps.
Yeah, no, it looks like a lot of fun. I'm also, if I was in your position, I would personally be glad that I wasn't the one on stage with the envelopes because the players don't really know how to use them ever. I feel like it always causes some kind of controversy in whatever happens with the whole upper, lower, whatever that means.
Yeah, see, I tried to understand it, but I only have one brain cell. And I used that to get myself to the studio.
Nice.
So I didn't know what was going on either. Like, I'm not gonna lie and sit here and be like, yeah, I totally knew what was happening. No, I didn't. But it was fun, like the draw show as well. We're now heading into like a BO3 format instead of a BO1 for playoffs. And I think that's really cool because like BO1s again are like really snappy, really quick. When you're playing series, instead, you have an opportunity of making a comeback. You can change out your draft. You can change out your style. So yeah, it's gonna be really exciting.
So with Carmine Corp not making it to that stage, it means that you're representing Carmine Corp.
Yeah, I'm the honorary Carmine. I mean, Lore is the honorary Carmine Corp.
True.
The OG.
The OG.
The OG Carmine Corp presenter. I think Carmine Corp just felt really bad for me because I looked really lost, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll adopt her." They're like, "That's fine. We'll adopt her. She looks lost. It's okay. She can come to us." Respect, by the way. Yeah, it was cool shit and. Lost and short. Wow. I can't believe someone just said that I'm lost and short. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm actually 6 foot, by the way. I don't know if you guys seen, but like on the intro that they did, Dracos was like, she's 6 foot. So for those of you who are from Europe, that means 180 centimeters. So all the like Caps is not actually short because if you look at the pictures of me and with Caps, like it's just because Caps is really tall. He's like 6'2", I think. Sakin is like 6'5".
Maybe that's why they hired you to like boost player egos.
Not to cut in, but 180 is like 5'10" or something. I'm pretty sure. Like
no, 180 is
6 foot. 6 foot's like 183. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's like 5'11", 5'10" is 180.
Okay, fine.
So that means you're like 4'11" then, I guess.
Well, actually, you know, wow, 4'11". That's kind of fucked up. It was really funny because I came into the green room after I did my interview with Caps, and then one of my analysts looks at me and goes, I thought Caps was short. But then I saw you.
Unlucky.
And everybody just, it's just,
Unlucky. It's tough.
Everybody's just really tall. Can you imagine I interview Wonder? That guy's like 6'2".
Yeah, I think that guy looks like MP. I say it every single time that I see him. He does look like MP.
See? He is 2 meters. He is 2 meters. I am 182. He is 2 meters. You can ask.
Yeah, he looks pretty tall.
Sure,
but again,
we'll believe you.
Like,
we'll believe
I
you
don't
this
know.
time.
Can we bring up like the picture of you and Pavlos next to each other as
No,
comparison? Because
absolutely
then
not.
I think we have to sort of
Absolutely not.
work this
No.
one out.
We're skipping. We're skipping to the next segment. We're not. That's
Anyway,
it. That's it.
yeah, we can move on.
Yeah.
Of course, congratulations on the LEC debut. I think there we go. We've wrapped it up nicely. And what a way to start. But now we'll move into the weekly roundup section of the episode, where each of us will present a weekly item, something that's caught our attention, whether that's in esports, gaming in general. And I'll give this one to you, Pavlos, to start things off.
Sure.
Anything that you've noticed in gaming this week? Anything that's maybe happened to you? Something anecdotal?
Look, I mean, a lot of things have happened this week. One of the things that has happened, I know we don't want to be repeating ourselves. Last episode was a lot about layoffs, but there's something you can't ignore. We don't have to really talk too much about it, but it's something that happened, and it's worth for everybody that wants to be in the know. More layoffs have continued to happen in the industry, and some very big layoffs from the Microsoft companies, Xbox, Blizzard. A total of, well, around 1,900 employees. Somewhere I saw a percentage of 15% of the workforce. That number was thrown around somewhere. Yeah, it's not fun. The layoffs continue. Hopefully they find work. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have anything to add to this, but I'd be happy to move on to the next item if we don't want to touch on this too much.
Yeah, no, I mean, that it's like there are layoffs with the Microsoft stuff. I also saw about how TSM now as the org are down to only 9 employees or something actively working on it. And if you didn't already think that their CS roster was pretty shit, they've kicked the socials guy that's been there for 5 years, Dunk, a bunch of stuff with that. I've seen even more Riot layoffs actually coming through this week that sort of had slowly been progressing forwards as well and hadn't quite fully worked themselves out. So yeah, man, I don't know, the whole thing's sad as fuck. It happens every week at this point. It's like, it's hard to almost have that emotional response about it anymore, because I feel so like numb to it, because it's become such a regularity, which I think is case in point of how terrible things are. I don't know if Ginny has anything else to add about this, but yeah, for me, it just feels like same old, and when is it gonna end? When is it gonna end? Please, just give me a week when I don't have to talk about this, like, for a good reason,
I mean, it's a little sad and it's a little concerning. There was actually a statistic that I was looking at in terms of like the total revenue made in gaming, and it has been going up, but then from 22 to 23 there was a dip. From 21 to 22 there was a dip, and then from 22 to 23 there was actually an increase, but that increase was very small in comparisons to the year before that. I can actually link it. So I think when we're looking at these layoffs and we're looking at how stuff is being done, especially when you're looking at a company like Microsoft, for example, they probably had people who were already doing the job that some of these Blizzard employees were doing. And then it's like you have double the people. That's always what happens when the mergers occur. It's like you have people who are doing the same job, and then you just need to evaluate which one would you like to keep. Do you want to keep a Microsoft employee? Do you want to keep a Blizzard employee? And it's difficult, but it's a decision that eventually will have to be made. But this is what I was looking at particularly. So if we're looking at 21 to 22, there was a dip. But then you look at 22 to 23, and there was an increase. But in comparison to the 20 to 21 increase, like, it's not that big. It's projected to keep increasing by hitting like a couple shit ton in shit ton. Wow, that's such a specific number, Ginny. Thank you so much. It's projected to hit about. Thanks, man. I got you.
Because it's like, you know how you sell eggs by the dozen. What is a shit ton?
Yeah.
Is that like 12 or 6 or?
If I remember, it was like 300 billion or some shit.
All right.
So
right, okay, fair. Makes sense.
So it's currently on like 2.70. So like obviously it's expected to go up. But again, that's like expectations on how it's gonna go. And if that's not the case, because the incremental increase from 22 to 23 was so low, I think companies also want to prepare themselves in case this recession takes a little longer. Yeah.
But we rebound. It means there's good news to this, at least, right? The industry is still one of the biggest. No, I mean, I'm not in the know in this, but I've seen it in multiple places. This is a completely, trust me, I've seen research in quotations. gaming industry is like the biggest entertainment industry. Well, not the biggest, amongst the biggest, at least, entertainment industries in the world. So, look, there might be a dump here, but we'll get back into it, right? It does get better.
Yeah, of course.
It does. It's not a ton of shit anymore. And actually, I've looked it up how much exactly that is. So 1 ton of shit is the same as what is this? 1 million grams of shit, and that's the same as 1 million cubic centimeters by volume, same as 1,000 liters.
Wow.
So it's 264.2 gallons of feces is how much that is liquid wise. Yeah, there you
anyway,
Shall we move on?
Yes.
I was gonna say they probably collected that from the Seine River in Paris that's being cleaned for the Olympic Games. That's about it. That's all I wanted to say. But anyways, shish. Next topic that we wanted to discuss here was the cancellation of RIOT Esports Network. I am personally not too familiar with it. I know it was a project that was being worked on. It was a way of monetizing the esports. So do your thing, Azza.
Oh wait, never mind. I thought we skipped.
I could definitely.
No, never mind.
All good.
It's yours.
Yeah, I can take that away.
Please, teacher, my turn. Me.
No, the thing is, I didn't have a topic of weekly roundup last week, so I'm having 2 this one. I'm compensating. So basically, the RIOT Esports Network was something that wasn't really announced, but it was something worked on behind the scenes. And what its aim was, even though there was an article, a Bloomberg article saying this would rival Twitch and YouTube, I don't think that was exactly its point. I think its point was to have a platform in which people could go and watch Riot Games broadcasts, esports broadcasts, in a way that would also enrich the viewing experience. Like the Overwatch League had this subscription-based way of watching a specific player. For example, they could watch on multiple different windows a different view of the game. Or it would also give some more statistics, give a little bit more depth, some more information for the viewers. Just how I would assume, if anybody is familiar with the Formula One subscription platform, where you can watch any perspective of any of the drivers, gain more statistics about the tire wear, etc., etc. So I feel this is what Riot was heading towards, to try and have a way of being profitable with their esports, because basically they're running esports on a loss, but they want to make sure that this is not only a promotion to their game, to have people more interested in the game and make profit out of the microtransactions with skins, etc. They wanted to make esports profitable. And with this cancellation, this brings a question to my mind. Have they lost the chance to be more profitable? Have they found a different way? Is this a postponement? This is bringing a lot of that type of questions to my head here.
Yeah, I think like the whole F1 thing that you mentioned as well is like where I would draw the comparison. If you people who are aware of Valorant, or maybe you're not, the HUD in-game is ran separately to the game itself. You have to have a third-party person come in and set it up. It's called Barracks. It has a lot of statistics that can be kept in the back end that you have access to. There are ways, I imagine, in which they could sort of make that a little bit more accessible for a fee, something like that. I mean, sure, people still pay money for things like Run It Back, which will give you access to extended statistics and whatever, and people will use it for coaching purposes. But I know that there are people in the audience that would probably like that too. Or maybe, you know, when there is a replay system or whatever, have a certain POV. Maybe you want to watch Buzz because you want to be a sick controller or something like that, right? Or Mako, sorry. Buzz is a fucking duelist. I'm too tired. But you know what I mean, right? Like, you want to improve your game. Like, oh, I want to know how this guy plays. I want to know how this guy plays. Something like that. And then also, the bigger thing for me is like the monetization. There isn't really much money in esports at the moment, and where there is, it's through things like cosmetics, and I think this was something else that was rumored with the system, that you'd be able to get extra cosmetics, kind of like the compendium in Dota. For people who don't know, whenever they held the Dota International at the end of the year, you could buy an item in-game for this sort of premier tournament, and it would give you access to, you know, skins and stuff that you wouldn't otherwise get. You also have to remember, for something like Sky Sports or like traditional TV networks, you don't don't get that for free anyway. You have to pay for it. I think we've been quite spoiled with Twitch and how accessible everything actually is. I would personally quite happily pay like a small fee of like £3 a month just to watch an esport that I'm so heavily involved with.
Yeah, I think as well though, like that's a really good point that you're bringing up in terms of like esports. We're very much used to having things for free, and that's not just in terms of like the esports fans. Like there are also people who have employees work for them for free because it's such a big thing. It's a passion industry. People want to work in gaming not because of the money, but 90% of people who work in gaming, if not more, are in it because of the fact that it's something that they love to do, and they would rather be working a job that doesn't pay that much, doing something that they love, than actually be doing a different job. And that's the thing. It's the blessing, but it could also be its curse, because a lot of people are used to being like having smaller students, or people who are just starting out of the industry doing stuff for them for free or very little money, and then they kind of like becomes the backbone of how the industry is running. And I've noticed that a lot in esports. Like at least like for example in consulting, if you wanted to start out and you were doing an internship, they would pay you. It might not be like insane money, but it would be minimum wage. It'd be a small consulting company, and they would pay you. And that's because they knew that that's how they could be able to attract talent. But esports doesn't need to attract talent. Talent attracts itself to the industry out of pure love and passion. And that has also made it a lot more difficult to actually trickle down the economics on esports and how much money actually goes in and out of that industry.
Yeah, and I think the effort of putting a broadcast behind a paywall has to come from someone, and then it will trickle down. I believe it may have a trickle down effect to other companies as well. I feel like someone needs to be brave enough to take that step. And to be fair, like I can't blame any company not doing it yet. Because number one, the backlash, everybody is entitled to the stream. Everybody thinks, look, I've been getting this for free. Why should I pay for this? That's one. Second, they run the risk of, is this truly something people would pay to watch? But this also asks the question to me, is the esports product of a broadcast worth it if someone isn't willing to pay something to actually watch it at the end of the day? So I think eventually we will get to that point. It's just a matter of time and a matter of who will have the balls to be the first to do it.
It's they're like a combination of different things, right? I think like even as a free product, I think of like, oh, TV, your standard TV, your Freeview channels, you still have to pay a TV license to use the TV or whatever, right? You know, the license for that.
Dude, in Germany, even if you don't have TV, you have to pay it. It's like in your taxes, like
exactly,
what?
right? So there is that preliminary cost, even for something that would be considered a free thing, right? You know, where you treat it as a luxury, and then you got to think of like the broadcast quality that you actually already have for certain things like this and stuff. And I think if there was a company to do it, it would be Riot, because a lot of the stuff that they do anyway is already first party. Yeah. The other aspect to it is the spectacle. These guys, like when they do a Worlds, it's on the front page. It's got like 1 million viewers. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, fucking Worlds is on!" Oh, and everyone can see it, and it's not hidden away. I think the inverse is like, what happens if you pull an Overwatch, which we can get to later on, when they move to YouTube, and then all of a sudden nobody knew where it was anymore. No one knew anything about it. Nobody watched it, and it keeled over.
Interesting. I mean, it's still front page on Twitch if I remember it correctly. But that's also probably because I'm like following, and I'm heavily like 99.9% of the people that I watch are League streamers or League content creators. So yeah, it's obviously always going to be on my recommended. Like I open YouTube, the first thing that's on my recommended is the LEC or the LCS or whatever is live at that point in time. And that helps as someone who's involved in the ecosystem. But if you're not that involved, potentially like your exposure to it could not be the best.
Yeah, I think you'd have to phase it in bit by bit, right? Like offer a premium package, which we've kind of seen before with like, you know, the cosmetics and things like that. And I think there was those kind of options for League of Legends. And then you like slowly strip it away more and more until it's like people know what to expect from a product like that, right? And it works on that end. But speaking of broadcasts and phasing things forwards, we're looking to the next few months now. And the next weekly item is one that I myself can talk about, and I know that Pavlos can as well.
Me too, yo. Like, what? Am I kicked out of the club just because I'm doing LEC now? Like,
well,
what?
get out of here.
You can talk about it, but I mean, look, have you been announced, Ginny? I don't know. Are we leaking something here? Pavlos, myself, Cairo, Ryan, we're all doing Polaris again. Polaris is back. You should watch it. Why? Well, not just because we're on it, because it's the best league in the fucking world.
Explain what Polaris is.
So, Polaris...
Teacher, Polaris, I can do that.
This is the... Let me sit you down for a story, right? Open the book up. A tale as old as 2 years ago.
Father Hazza.
Okay,
Back in 2022, they created the regional leagues in Valorant. This is the second tier of competition. Everyone thinks of VCT, LEC, all of this stuff, yada yada yada. I'm already falling asleep.
Yappa.
Tier 2 is where it's at. These are the emergence, the players coming through, the next generation of competition. When you see someone cutting it about on the screen and looking like an absolute world beater, you can say, I was there. I was there when they played their first ever game. I invested when the stocks were low, and I have absolutely nothing to show for it except for my word. But other than that, it's regional competition. You can support the grassroots. Pavlos is back. Ginny started out on this as well. This was one of your sort of early broadcasts. I did my
It's where
first
Ginny and
season.
I met.
Yeah, it is. I started it last year. This is Cairo's first regular season. The guy joined for the grand finals last time. I don't know how he pulled it off, but it is what it is, right? Here we are. There you go. I don't know. Any personal sentiment?
Yeah, no, I love Polaris. It's good to be back. A lot of I had a few comments asking me, does this mean I'm not in VCT the next year?
No leaks.
This doesn't mean anything of any other nature. It only means I'm included in Polaris because Polaris is a completely different entity from the people handling VCT, etc. So don't worry. It's got nothing to do. One and the other has nothing to do with it. But Polaris is cool, and it's starting this week. Which day specifically? Right, Thursday or Friday?
I don't know how much we want to give away here, but it starts on Thursday, and let me tell you, it's going to be more than one broadcast day this time, guys. So make sure you tune in. For those who didn't know, there used to be 2 broadcast days, and then last year there was 1 and a half, and the half was the one that I was doing with Cairo through OBS by myself.
Funsies.
With a shirt and tie, but we had good fun with it. But you know, it's not mine to be delivering anymore. Missed games are the ones in control, and hopefully we get plenty more action from it, and I'm looking forward to it. Ginny, how are you feeling about Polaris? Maybe not just this year, but you know, your love letter personally to the league.
My love letter,
which started it all.
Yeah, I mean, my first ever esports gig was Polaris, and then my first ever hosting gig in a studio was Polaris, and I have a lot to thank for, like, my entire career basically has been grown off of that. So I'm really grateful and I'm really happy to see that it's back. I know that it didn't have the best of time when it comes to the resources that it was given, so I hope this year is a little different. I hope that in some way, shape, or form I could be involved too. But yeah, it's cool shit. I'm excited to see how well we're gonna do, considering that we lost all our talent to tier 1, but it is what it is.
Very talented region, but I guess then that opens up the whole conversation about the cost of living in Northern Europe and how that will sort of send away like some of the talent that we do have, because it is a very deep pool. But no, Pavlos and I will be cooking. We'll be getting up to some fun stuff. Make sure you go and follow all of it, because it's essentially an extension of this, right?
100%.
Absolutely.
Next topic.
Yeah, I'm also not used to seeing Pavlos without hair. It's kind of weird. Like, it feels like I'm not talking to Pavlos. I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of weird. Like,
I think you need to see me IRL one day for that effect to just go away.
Oh my god, you want to meet up IRL? I'm a gamer. I don't leave my
You don't leave your
Pavlos
have a shower.
Now he's just Pav.
Yeah.
Nah, that was such a shit job. Can we kick him off the broadcast?
How many times is this gonna happen? I can go.
Every day.
It's fine.
I mean, I didn't vote to kick you when you were making the shit ton feces whatever joke, but Oh, he's actually doing it.
No,
Thank
no,
fuck.
no, I'm
I
coming
mean,
back, I'm coming back.
yay! Come back, bro. We got another topic to talk about. We're gonna call it the caster couch.
Okay, nice.
Don't ask
right,
which one of us came
cool.
up with that name. Okay, just like close your
It's
ears.
Ginny.
No, why? Anyway,
I'm not gonna lie. I saw it on the run of show, and it did catch me a little bit off guard because I'm not entirely sure what it is. So if one of you
The
could
caster
explain it
couch?
to us, I think that would be quite nice. This next segment, it's a new segment after
it's
all.
a new segment. Yeah, it is a new segment, and this is basically where we like pretend to. I'm sitting on a chair, but like chill back, relax, take a break, take a Kit Kat, sponsor us, please, thank you. Have a hot drink and listen to us rambling about our personal lives. Building more of like a personal connection in terms of like what we do from day to day and what our lives look like. And specifically for this week, I wanted to focus on why we do what we do. I know there's like a lot of negative news currently around esports and around the layoffs and around everything that's going on, but I think as well, like hitting the point of it being a passion industry, it's something that I wanted us to dive in a little bit further. So I can start if y'all want me to. Like, I got the stories
ahead.
ready.
Let's
I got
hear
the
it.
receipts. All right.
Mhm.
I started playing video games when I was a fucking teenager, all right? Like most of us, probably. Some of us probably earlier. Actually, no, I actually did play on the PS2, on my brother's PS2. I played like God of War, played like some GTA. I played Tekken 5. That shit smacked. I used to play Nina because she was blonde and had big boobies, and no, I'm joking. I'm joking. Redacted.
What?
Redacted. Anyway, so. Yo. But yeah, I moved to UK and I actually didn't like speak any English, and my professors were like, you know what, Ginny? Well, Celt, because they call me Celt. And they're like, you know what, Celt? You should actually stop applying for universities because you're not going to make it. Your English is not good enough to actually go to university. You should stop. And because I was gaming and I was talking to my friends in English all the time, I was able to pick it up really quickly. So in that regards, like gaming has helped me a lot. And then moved on, went to university, didn't game, started working, got into gaming again because I was espresso from the fact that I was working in 9 to 5, and I found gaming while I was working. And it actually, like, I know people like would look forward to the weekend when we were working 9 to 5, and they're like, oh yeah, it's Friday, it's a weekend, I'm gonna go home and like chill. And I was like, oh my god, it's Friday, I'm gonna go fly out to a different country and host an esports event. Did I ever share that with my colleagues? Absolutely not. But I was looking forward to the weekend to do work because the work didn't feel like work. It felt like something that I wanted to do. And growing up, I was always like the kid that was really smart. I was really good at school. I was book smart, but I was never good at anything. Like, I wasn't good at anything artistic. My siblings were really artistic. My siblings are all very athletic. And I was a little piece of shit that was like 6 foot Kappa. And I was like not good at anything. Like, if you give me a pencil to draw a stick man, that stick man will look disabled, and I can vouch for that 10 out of 10. So I finally found something that I was good at and something that I was confident in and something that I could build, and people are like, oh my god, like, pog. So yeah, I think gaming for me was a really, really, really big boost in confidence in myself and in my abilities to do things that other people are potentially not as good at.
Yeah. No, of course, fair enough. I'd say
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
pretty artistic too if you replace the R with a U, but yeah, of course.
I fucking saw that coming like 5 miles away, man. Like, nah.
No, I mean, I don't know, Pavlos, if you've got one lined up.
Do you need time
how
to
you got into
prepare?
gaming? No, I mean, I would say,
ahead.
like, I feel like I've always been a fairly creative person, at least in terms of, like, esports specifically and stuff. I could always see myself get involved with it because, like, I don't know, it began with CS basically because I was always gaming. Like, my whole life I was always playing video games. It was also the PS2, Super Monkey Ball, that was classic. All of the Lego games, like the Lego Star Wars games and stuff, I used to play those a bunch when I was a kid. But then everyone just, it's like the Minecraft YouTuber pipeline, I think. You go in at like that's the first square in the existence of the content creation space, and then it's like a skill tree. You can path out from there. You can continue to become a Minecraft YouTuber until you go so far that you hit the allegations corner of the skill tree, or you can, you know, go elsewhere and start to do other things. So I went into Counter-Strike, then I watched the esport. I went down the playing route for a little bit, had a bit of that at university, and then just sort of came into esports. But the whole time I was making content, I sort of ran that parallel to everything. I always loved making videos. Maybe I love the sound of my own voice. It sort of funneled into this too. And I just thought, look, I could do a job on a broadcast, so I tried it. And then, you know, one thing led to another, and here I am, right? I don't really know what else to say, but I've always liked gaming, and I've always liked making things, which is why I made the, you know, like the clown thumbnail and stuff, and like the memes and whatever.
I thought that was like his real hair.
No, you know, I think it blends quite nicely. Like making people laugh. Maybe that gets a little bit too deep at a certain point when it's like, you know, trying to be the jester the whole time. But I think you get the idea, right? Like,
I kind of get an idea of what Hazard looked like in a classroom now.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. Dude, when I was like, let's be 100% real for a second. Let's drop the facade. Like when I was a kid,
yeah,
I got bullied loads in school. Like I was always trying to appeal to other people, stuff like that. Do you know what I mean, right? Like I think, you know, you get to that point where you're trying to constantly force the issue maybe, and like, you know, socially I wasn't fully there and whatever. But like over time, yeah, you realize that you don't have to please everyone and whatever, but still there's like, you know, when it comes to content creation, I was always making it for myself, but I understood that I could still like reach other people with that. It was a way for me to like express myself through a medium that I had complete control over at the same time, if that makes sense. I don't know, it's difficult to try and fully explain, but the idea is there if you want to go that extra level, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
there you
that's
go.
actually mega interesting. Never heard you talk about that in that way.
That's what the show's all about. We're getting intimate on the
That's
casting
really
couch this episode.
Yeah, that's why it's called the casting couch. We gotta get into it.
Yeah, I don't know.
We get real.
Yeah,
we get real.
We do.
We get naked with our feelings.
Whoa. Yo, my therapist said that.
That's what I said. Look, I got rid of the guys for a second. I stripped down to the bare minimum, and there you go. There was your result. Pavlos, it's all you. It's your chance now to bear all.
All right. Well, I think esports was always a thing for me ever since gaming was a thing, right? The first time I had a laptop was when I was in middle school, and that's when I was able to explore the internet without any limitation, really. And what did you see? What happened?
No, just exploring the internet without any limitation.
Just to give an explanation to that, so people
just
don't take
YouTube
that out of
access.
context.
YouTube access to the unguided infant mind.
My parents were actually very controlling in the way I use the computer. Like I'd only have like half an hour of PC time during the day, right? That's what I meant. When I had my own laptop, I could use it as much as I want, right? I could play as many games on mini clip. That's where it all started.
Yeah,
okay?
mini clip, man. No, it all started in like 2009 with those like clay Mario videos where he's just like shooting people and stuff, you know?
Yeah. And I had those like football heads from Mouse Sports. I don't remember what it. No, it wasn't. I don't know. I forgot the names of it. I forgot the names of the websites. But anyway, but then I realized Steam is a thing, and. Ginny, stop it. Really, there's no need. You're not making this easy for me. Really. So then I realized, wait, I can download games. So Steam got downloaded. I played TF2. And then Counter-Strike was the first game I properly played. Was one of the first games I bought. League of Legends actually came before that because I started playing free games. So as soon as I realized what League of Legends was, I was like, wait, there's this 2014 Worlds event going on. Imagine Dragons dropped an amazing song called Warriors. Let me see what happens here. And I was like, cool. What's the best European team competing in this event? Fnatic? Cool. I'm a back Fnatic. So ever since, you know, I started playing League of Legends, I started playing Counter-Strike, I started following Fnatic, I started watching the esports generally. And yeah, that's how it all started with gaming and esports. Like it all came together, right? It was always a bundle. It wasn't like Eugenie where you played a lot of games and esports came later on. It all came at the same time. And cool. Yeah, like after high school, I was like, well, during high school, I had to decide what am I going to do with my life. And you know, being a commentator wasn't really a career, and not one an Eastern European family would ever let a child pursue. And I completely understand that, and I wouldn't parent my kid any other way. So one of my best subjects was computer science. So after the mandatory military service, jumped into computer science uni in Amsterdam, and then COVID hit, and I was like, what's the best thing I could do with my time? Follow this passion of mine. And I dug deep and started commentating stuff. So yeah, that's how it all begun, really. And yeah, it was pretty awesome.
And now we all yappa on the podcast.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, the COVID stuff, man, is crazy. Because I can remember the first cast I ever did, I only ever did one in 2020, and then that was it. I left it for like a year and a half. Was like when we were locked in the house for like 2 weeks, because one of my housemates was doing their like Erasmus abroad. So for those who don't know, it's like a couple of months studying abroad while you're at university in Spain. Brought back COVID, had the like 2 week and whatever. Next housemate got it, another 2 weeks, and then England lost the Euros, so it was crap. But yeah, that was it, man. That was it. I spilled beer all over my mouse pad. Crazy times, man. Crazy times.
That's interesting, but okay, yeah. Spilling beer on your mouse pad.
Mm-hmm.
Chad, aware, absolutely great. Totally. No, I think it's really cool, like, hearing your stories, both of you. I know, like, my career I started after COVID, so like right after the boom of people doing stuff online, and I know that it's not necessarily the most conventional career that other people have had in esports, so I really like listening to you guys, and I think you're both doing amazing. So a little pat on the back. That was really wholesome.
No, you.
Damn. Okay, this is my niceness for the rest of the week. Done. I'm just gonna bully you both. I'm just gonna. On that note,
I was gonna say, I like how
shits.
you are halfway through giving the compliment, and then you're like, "Damn!" You like snapped out of it. You got deprogrammed.
Like,
How dare I give compliments?
Let me run it back.
You've lost your sense of self, Ginny. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm being nice.
Yeah, well, you just took the nice pill, and you left the matrix.
Whoa,
you got
are you
plugged
saying
out
that?
of unplugged from the thing, and you're like, "Where am I?"
Yeah, bro, I'm gonna escape the matrix.
Yeah.
All right. Another thing in the Matrix, no, not really. I think it's something that's not a Matrix is this next segment that we have, and we just talk about news that has been popping up, and that is going to be the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room this time, I'm not talking about anybody's mom. Okay, please don't get offensive. Is we're gonna be talking about Overwatch, particularly. And their new format.
Shout out to Haribo producing this. He literally brought out the topic title here. Overwatch League got a new lick of paint.
I respect it. I saw the word lick and
I
was a little bit confused where we were going. But
where are we taking this? You know, we got a caster couch segment. We were talking about scouring the internet without any limitations. And now we're getting a bit of licking
I mean, that was
action.
Yo. Okay, I did not subscribe, follow this channel for this
shit.
Speaking of giving things a lick, though, you can see it on the screen. You can get a flavour, a bit of a taste. What are we thinking?
It's called the Overwatch Champion Series.
It is. OWCS already sounds like LCS, which sounds like RLCS, which sounds like
like
pretty
CS.
Much everything that we've already got. And majors. I'm seeing the word majors in there as well. But
Finals.
The main talking point, though, is that this is an open qualification system. I don't know how much either of you have been involved with Overwatch before. For me, it was like the little, I don't know, hiatus I had halfway between doing CS the first time, the second time, and obviously now doing primarily Valorant. It was like the other extremity, right? You know, you have CS, very traditional FPS game. Overwatch, what the fuck is going on? Valorant's like a sweet spot for me. But it's notoriously has been a closed circuit since about 2017, 2018, I want to say, when the Overwatch League started. That died last year for obvious reasons. Plenty of people had it out for it since its inception. I think it would have been nice for it to sort of have succeeded in a certain way, but at the same time, when your London team is owned by an American organization and fields 6 Korean players, it's about as artificial as it gets.
Yeah, I do like, though, when we're looking at this calendar, is that their off season is not very long. They have June and July. it is an off season. They have an event every single month. I think for teams, in terms of the amount of games that you can play and in terms of talent, the amount of work that they can get, it looks really promising. It looks like it could be a working ecosystem, and we already touched upon it when it comes to Valorant and like Koi playing like 13 games or some shit last year. Kind of bit of an F in the chat. So I'm excited to see how this is going to be playing out. 2 internationals, always fun to see these internationals happening. So yeah, I don't have anything negative to say, but that is also because I do lack a little bit of knowledge when it comes to Overwatch League. But what I'm seeing right now, like, fuck yeah.
I feel like Overwatch is an interesting one because they had such an amazing launch, and it was something extraordinary. It was the first shooter of its kind with abilities that really popped off. Obviously, you're following the back of Team Fortress 2, and yes, Paladins came out at a very similar time as well, but Overwatch was sort of pioneering in a way, something that a lot of people enjoyed, a lot of people loved playing. And once the esport came out, once the Overwatch League got announced, that was got announced, everybody went mad because look, wait, esports is something that can work like the NFL, like the NBA. We can have a franchise league here, and something that teams can look at and be profitable. We're looking at a healthy ecosystem for an esport. This looked like completely different to anything any other esport had shown in the past. And it didn't go to plan. I feel like mistakes happened from the developer, mistakes happened from the esports team. COVID happened that exacerbated it all. One mistake after the other led to this esports, to the esport of Overwatch, the downfall of it. And now it's a time for them to rebuild. And I feel like the best way that they could rebuild is by opening it up to the community again, opening 100%. Up to people that care about the game. Because let's be honest, people still play that game. It might not be the player base that it once was, but the people that do play it are diehard fans. And as long as the diehard fans exist and people that actually feel like they want to compete at the top level at a game like Overwatch, this is the best way to do it. So I feel like this is a really good decision. I want to pair that, though, with how similar this looks like with a Counter-Strike bracket and a Counter-Strike system. And it's to no surprise, really, because I believe EFG/ESL has taken this over, which by nature runs most Counter-Strike events, although it's run a lot of events in the past. But like, I feel like Overwatch went from a completely hands-on approach to controlling everything to a complete hands-off approach and was like, here you go. This is your baby now.
Yeah, it's insane because I mean, like you say, it came in originally being an open circuit before they set up the Overwatch League. A lot of people who are familiar with Overwatch know that one of the game modes has a payload. The payload goes along the map and it only moves forwards as long as you have a player on the payload. Infamously, in one of the, for like the first year or so of competitive play, you had a certain team which got off the payload a few times, notoriously, and leaving the payload and losing the game on accident became known as a C9 after Cloud9, of course.
Oh my God.
And that, phrase kept being used all the way throughout the franchise era to where we are now. But it was doomed to fail from the start. How much flipping money did it cost to get in? We're talking like millions and millions. The salary cap being way higher than it should be in sort of any league that you see even nowadays. Certain players I can see getting signed on like 40, 50k a year before they could even play because they I can remember a certain player who I won't name for their, huge fall off in career and other terrible things that have happened amongst there onwards.
Everybody knows what you're talking about.
Back when they were like 16,
don't say it.
Back when they were 16 and not able to play, they were signed just because they didn't want anyone else to poach them. And it even reminds me a little bit of like when Valorant started out and people like Tens getting signed to Cloud9 and like Sentinels and stuff like that, and the amount that they paid to get them on a contract early on. I think you can this is my gripes with the franchise system for any game as a whole, and why I do have my slight concerns about Valorant, and why I like to see this open system, and why it's always nice to be able to chase that dream, you know, the idea that anyone could come in and make it to the top. And I think that's where something like for Valorant, Premier's now coming in, and Riot want to place all of their importance on how that works. I don't know how you guys feel about open versus closed systems in esports, and if you think that this is a step in the right direction or not.
I think one issue with open is like a team could get a sponsorship, and a sponsor usually would want to sign for a longer period of time because they would get a better deal then. And if it's open and there is no guarantee that the team is going to be where they are today next year, why would you as a sponsor sign? Well, you won't really have much of an incentive. Like, I'm looking at this from a business perspective. Like, I'm not looking at this from like an eco perspective. Like, I will be completely honest, 99% of things that I look at are from a business perspective, like a financial standpoint. From a financial standpoint for teams, why would you want it to be open? Because if you can like go to say like you go to a peripheral sponsor and you're like, I'll give you a 5-year contract for X mil, and you will be on, and we will be in that league for 5 years. These are the viewership and the growth for the last 5 years. You can have it, yes or no. And the peripheral sponsor is going to go, fuck yeah. But if you first have to climb your way in there, which is going to cost you a lot of money because you need to get the players, you need to get the staff, etc., you're then going to put your team there for, and you're like, I have the spot for a year. Do you want the sponsorship? Sponsor's gonna be like, I'll think about it. And the sponsor negotiations always take a really long time to actually like finalize and set in stone. So probably by the time you finish negotiations, it's like already half of the season, and it's just not worth it at that point.
I've got an argument to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I completely get it, and you're right. But I feel like if you jump into that boat early, you risk not allowing the esport grow enough for there to be an interest, for there to be enough interest for that sport to exist, right? I feel like if you add more barriers to enter and compete at a high level, at least to the early stages of a game, you won't allow the sport to grow. For example, I can bring back the early days of football in England, right? Okay. At the start, it was sort of an open circuit. Yeah, okay, it was mostly for the rich to play, so there were a few rich teams that played. But the sport only started to grow when it became more accessible, and that took years and decades of that game progressing to then being able to have a top-down format where you can have a league and the best teams could exist in that way, right?
Yeah.
And you know, football has become a global phenomenon since, and there's definitely a lot more steps throughout that process that I failed to mention. But I feel it's the same, maybe on a smaller scale, for an esport. If you don't give it a chance to grow, if you do put barriers too early, then you won't, even as a business opportunity, it won't be worth to invest in the long run, because it won't exist for long, because there won't be too many people that will want to take on that content or participate, if you will.
That's the crazy thing as well, because football is 10 times older than esports is in its current state. So you're talking about the difference of like 200, 300 years here or whatever in terms of that development coming through. Because even when you were saying like, oh, football in the olden days, and then you're talking about the league system not even existing, like, fucking hell, this guy's talking about the 1700s, literally, when it's a pig bladder between two gates of neighboring towns, which is literally what football was. Because the whole point of football, right, to just go back and put my football hat on for a minute here, and this is one of the issues with the modern game, is that the whole point of football, it was the working man sport, it was for the working class, and now it's slowly getting taken and twisted more and more for the enjoyment of the elite, and you're seeing all of these exports to countries like China, like Saudi, for example, that are getting more and more money, and there's a lot that can probably be drawn in comparison with esport at the exact same time. But even then, something to consider with esports that doesn't exist with football is that I know when I was competing, you know, playing Sunday League or whatever with my mates in our 11-a-side, 7-a-side, anything like that, you still have to pay fees to, like your league fees to be able to play, to get signed up, each player to be signed up and contracted. Sure, it's a physical sport, so there's the chance of injury and you need that little bit more of a safety net from a legal perspective. But at the same time, I guess in esports, your entry fees instead come more in the form of having the top line in terms of peripherals, being able to compete on a 240 hertz monitor, stuff like that. But that isn't money that can then be generated into the system itself, or the people that are actually running the system, because it goes to the tech companies instead and the people that are developing these products, which is why the point that Ginny made about sponsorships is so important, that there's a direct link between the two and that they're able to create value for one another.
Damn. You guys actually went really in depth, a lot more than I expected. So I'm really thankful and really proud of that, because again, beautiful insight from both of you. I want to talk upon the point though of do we think that Overwatch League potentially had franchised too early, Pablos? Do you think that could?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
100%. I double down on that, and I think everybody else that was involved in the esports scene could say, at least in hindsight, that was a really bad decision to bring it in that early. I feel like they only had a couple of years, or maybe a year and a half, where the esport existed on its own. And I remember esport teams dropping their rosters like flies the moment that there was an inkling that something like this would happen. Overwatch didn't manage to grow at all. I literally remember Fnatic dropping their roster. I think they were amongst the first. Envious, and those were some of the biggest teams at the time. Of course, Envious did end up being Dallas Fuel, but
yeah, they did.
That's besides the point.
Because they also got bought out, or not bought out, but the big NFL investors coming in and stuff, and none of them seeing any of that money back that they put in however many years ago. Because the point you were making, right, is that Overwatch was in beta in 2016. The Overwatch League was founded in 2017. The first season was played in 2018, and it was dead by 2023, or it's finished
earlier than that.
But you know what? But by dead, I mean it's completely ceased operations in a matter of 5 years, which is crazy. Whereas you look at Valorant, and in comparison, and again, this is just me speaking from experience, game beta / launch 2020, and it's been 3 years instead of 2. And the difference is also, it is a closed system, but we're looking at organizations here. Then again, I'm thinking about Evil Geniuses, and maybe it's not going as well.
Okay,
as it could be, right? I don't know.
That's a bit of a oopsie poopsie. No, I think we gotta learn from the past, and we gotta learn from the mistakes. And I will look forward to how Valorant develops. I think League is in a very solid state. It's been there for a while. I'm looking forward to Valorant. I think Valorant, especially the game that a lot of people have their eyes on. I think it's gonna have to prove itself over the next 3-4 years, but hopefully in a good way. And talking of games that have been successful and then did an oopsie, the game that everybody and their fucking mother and grandma and goldfish and cat and dog and neighbor and left toe is playing right now.
Yeah, you've literally listed half of the characters in the game. Yeah,
literally.
there's a toe pal, a fucking cat pal, a pal.
Bruh.
Imagine being Pal TV right now, coach of Focus. He just seeing Pal on his timeline the whole time.
Hey, they made a world about him.
Yeah.
Yo, Lamau. No, but I thought it would be interesting because there's obviously this discussion of copyright infringement, and when we're looking at Nintendo, particularly being based in Japan, it's a Japanese company. They are fucking strict on their intellectual property laws, because Japan will go. Okay, I'm not going to say this. Japan will go to lengths to protect its anime, to protect because it's such a big part of their tourism, of their culture, and video games tie into that. Nintendo being the most profitable gaming company, because everybody and their mother plays these games. So, I mean, listen, you want to play Who's That Pokemon? Because I am not going to lie. Yeah.
Yeah, I've already seen a couple of these that look so similar.
I haven't seen all of these, but as someone who has been playing Pokemon fairly religiously and consistently since the 4th generation until now, to be honest, I've played every single one.
What's that? Sapphire, Ruby?
No, that like Diamond and Pearl. And I've also actually competed in the Pokemon VGC before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have. I won an amiibo because I beat someone at a local event or whatever.
Come on, that is just an Egyptian Lucario. What is going on?
The thing is, though, like as of now, there has not been a lawsuit, and only.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 4 days. They're doing an investigation, but then also like it's gonna be like when the lawsuit hits, right? They're actually going to look at these characters, and they're gonna have a panel who is going to have to say whether or not this is identical.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely not identical.
That one's pretty shameless.
It's definitely not identical. Like, it's a different game concept, but like, come on. There's a fine line between getting inspiration and just like, hey, can I copy your homework?
Yeah, but some of these are a stretch. Like, I agree with the message in chat, but then some of them, it's like a combination of a bunch of different ones. Like this one here, the one back there looked like Latios and Latias, but then it's also got like the Flygon wings as well and stuff like that. You know, it's
it looks like Salamence as well.
It's like they've gone on the Pokemon Fusion website that generates the two when it puts them together and stuff like that. And if you think about Nintendo as well, because obviously it's Game Freak that make the games, but it's a Nintendo licensed product. Yeah, that's fucking awful. By the way, they're getting done for that one. The Cobalion one. But
the thing is,
like, the Nintendo ninjas are a real thing, right? The people who like will spank for the intellectual property and whatever, and will go ahead and find it. If this is a company we're talking about which won't even let people host fighting game tournaments when they're not even running the esport themselves, think what they're going to do when it comes to something like this. Like, if it was me, yeah, you're just going to lose all of your money. In fact, you're probably going to end up homeless and just repaying it off for the rest of your life if this is what happens.
I mean,
like,
the thing is, like, even if they do take them to court, right? Like, it has to be evaluated on, like, a percentage. If, like, 5 of these characters look like Pokemons, 5 of these pals, 5 of the pals is probably, like, 1% of the game. So if 1% of the game is deemed to be intellectual property infringement, it doesn't matter because it's such a small percentage. It needs to hit a certain percentage for them to actually be sued and like be able to make money back. So this is gonna be so fucking rough for Nintendo. And if they do sue and they lose the court case, that will then set a precedent. That if they do, that would set a precedent for other game developers to be like, oh, as long as like 5 of our characters look like Pokemon, we can use that to get people in, and then we can make the game look a little bit different, and we can actually get away with it. They're gonna be chilling. But if Nintendo also doesn't do anything, if they don't even threaten to sue, that's another license for people to go, we're gonna go being chilling, and we're gonna copy like X amount of their work. So for Nintendo right now, this is more of a way of handling this from PR rather than from infringement of property. So
interesting.
I mean, that I don't think that looks like the Snorlax. The Snorlax is like I don't agree with that. Like, that's a little far fetched. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how Nintendo handles this because this could genuinely just be a losing battle. Like it could be a losing battle. So, but yeah, it's fun.
Even to be fair, the Grintail one there, if you scroll down, that's I'm pretty sure it's Galarian Meowth. Is that supposed to? Yeah, it is. Right, it says on the screen. That one reminds me more of like the cat from Alice in Wonderland than like Meowth specifically.
Oh my god.
But
true.
But then you look at the body of the cat, right? I don't know if Haribo can search up Skitty right now, the pink cat. They've used the body of Skitty and just put the Galarian Meowth on it. So as you can see, the shape of the ears there, and then if you go back on the other one,
oh my god,
it's the same.
That's similar, yeah, very similar.
Yeah.
I feel it's also an issue for Nintendo because the game became so popular. Because you know there are a lot of games that copy other big titles and try and take a chunk and try and have some sort of decent player base. I feel like Power has gained a lot of players very quickly.
Yeah.
Like the added mechanic of being able to
9 million
use
copies
guns
or something in a week.
2 million on the first week.
I think that's what's even more
Online.
damaging for Nintendo, because to be fair, on the one hand, I'm glad there's someone challenging Nintendo in a way, because I think a lot of people could say they got a little bit complacent with their games. They're getting a little bit too stagnant. They look a little bit too similar. There's not too many changes in the right direction. So I guess some competition is good as long as you're not copying some certain aspects. And the game looks smooth. I've never played it, but I've looked at so many streamers playing it and go through playthroughs, and it looks so smooth. It looks so pleasant to play.
And also, like, no offense, but like people have literally been begging Nintendo for this kind of game for like God fucking knows how long, and they're like, and now they're like, oh shit, we lost out on so much money. XT. So yeah, I mean, it does suck. It is really unfortunate, but I mean, it looks like a cool game. It looks like a fun game. A lot of people are enjoying it. Everybody and their grandma is playing it. So I'm looking forward to the next steps that Nintendo takes, because that is going to be a very big thing and precedent in gaming. Again.
How's cooking?
Yes, yes, I am, because I've just been reminded of something else about this, though, and this is a real elephant in the room, if you will.
Wow.
Lots of people have said that perhaps some of these designs had been derived from AI art, that people had used AI software to generate the sort of mixture. Whether that is true or not, the creators have refuted those claims. There is some evidence to support it. And I suppose now the question I'm really asking to you two is this the direction you think that games are going to be heading in? Because I know that using AI, even just to generate an idea in your head and then work on it, you know, yourself as an individual, is something that happens on a regular basis now, and something that, you know, is just the reality of what's going on.
I think AI is gonna be here. Like, it's not going anywhere. Like, we open Pandora's box and it's gonna keep evolving. And is it gonna be used to make games? Probably. Is that, I mean, the creator said that it wasn't the case. The creator said that, you know, it is what it is. Like, AI is going to be here and they're going to take jobs, and it is part of the stage in terms of technology where we are at the moment. But that doesn't mean that it's like we should hate it. You know, it's part of the development of technology. Like, what are we going to do? Stop it? Put it back? Close the lid on it? That's never going to happen. So,
and it's used in many ways as well.
Yeah,
like it's not only for artists as well. Like, I feel it's used for programmers, for developers. Like, a lot of people use it as a way of trying to find other ways of writing their code or debugging as well.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the negative stigma surrounding artificial intelligence? Will it create more good or create more bad?
Honestly, I think it will create more bad, simply because of the fact that people, not because AI is bad. I think AI is incredible and it has such good things.
It's very cool.
And it will really drive society forward. But people, unfortunately, that have been using it at the moment are inherently bad, and they're using it for inherently bad things, and using it for bad things without even realizing that's a bad thing. Like, a lot of people don't realize that when you go on AI and you're using it to make like a drawing or some shit, like, you're putting people out of work. Like, yeah, sucks, but people aren't aware of that. And this is going to be really rough, but it's also like a lot of porn content around AI.
I was just about to say that. I saw that this week. All the malicious Taylor Swift stuff on Twitter. Yeah. Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And the law, and that is literally, it should literally be a crime. But unfortunately, the law, as usual, the people in power are so fucking slow to catch up on these things that it's going to be rough. And I think all we can really do is just...
To be fair,
I'm not gonna lie. For a second, when you said the people in power, my head was still on the topic. I thought you said the people in Power World. I was like, Jesus Christ, the game's grown so much that we've got like an off-brand Pikachu in the fucking Parliament right now, calling the shots. Probably do a better job, mind you, but there we go.
Literally, like, better job. No cap.
To be fair, though, I feel like the technology has improved so quickly, so rapidly, that any political system would fail to get there on time with enough control over how it's supposed to be used, and etc. So, yeah, they need to catch up quickly. They need to try and put some mandates and restrictions on how artificial intelligence is used, whether that's to protect artists, whether that's to protect jobs, whether that's to protect copyright infringements, whether that's to get ahead of any other problems that may occur, because artificial intelligence could take us anywhere. I don't want to get all sci-fi up in here, but it's it's technology that a lot of people that don't really understand. So it'll be interesting
decade,
how.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm trying to think.
And by that time, we'll be at a completely different level. We'll be talking about completely different problems.
I think as well, like, let's try and spin this to a content creation perspective. Think how much over the last 10 years, from sort of 2013 to 2023, how many different rules and things we saw changed, even with something like YouTube, for example, and what copyright laws look like applied in a website such as that, and what the ramifications could end up being. Suzanne Wojcicki, or whatever she's called, and all of that stuff. Man, I don't know, it's crazy, like the DMCA stuff that we see on Twitch. So
fucking DMCA, mate.
Pavlos, don't give us your best singing voice and you'll set the machine off thinking that it's you, or that it's the real artist.
Yeah.
Go-to karaoke song of choice, Pavlos, if we did have to hear.
Tequila.
That is so fucking based. Holy shit, that's based,
you're saying like 2 words for the whole thing.
Based.
Yeah, fair
yeah,
enough.
but the whole thing is just you just standing there and being emotionless until you have to say the word tequila, and I feel like that
tequila.
Yeah.
What else do you need? All right.
What else do you need? To follow the damn socials, man. I think that's the episode about wrapped up. Make sure that you get on it. At Skill Issues Live on Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, and Xbox.
What the fuck?
Xbox Series X. Twitter.
We don't know what to call it anymore.
Twitter.
It's Twitter. It's X.
It's call it X. Call it Twitter. Call it. But please do not call it X, whatever. Bro, that sounds like the websites that Pavlos had unlimited access to when he just got his laptop. Like, no, we're not going there. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for closing out the show as well, Hazza. I hope you guys have an incredible evening and enjoy the rest of your week. We're going to be back again next week, same time, same place. Like and subscribe. Have a good